Hello and welcome to What the F Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditas. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. Welcome to day 126. The Justice Department appealed a district court ruling that ordered it to release the entire memo used in 2019 to justify not charging Trump with obstruction of justice in the Russia investigation. Earlier this month, U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson accused the Justice Department and then Attorney General William Barr of being disingenuous to this court when describing Robert Mueller's findings about why he decided not to pursue obstruction charges. Jackson then ordered the entire document released, but the Justice Department only released a partially unredacted version of the Office of Legal Counsel memo, a page and a half that were made public. Meanwhile, Trump's former White House counsel agreed to testify behind closed doors about Trump's efforts to obstruct the Russia investigation. Don McGahn will testify before the House Judiciary Committee next week about his role as a key witness in the Mueller report. A transcript of the interview will be released afterward. In 2019, the Trump White House invoked executive privilege and ordered McGahn not to comply with a congressional subpoena for documents related to Mueller's investigation. McGahn spent more than 30 hours speaking to Mueller's investigators, outlining 2 episodes where Trump asked him to have Mueller fired and later asking McGahn to deny news reports about that conversation. McGahn rebuffed both requests. In New York, federal prosecutors investigating Rudy Giuliani seized email and iCloud accounts that they believe belonged to former Ukrainian government officials. They also seized the cell phone and iPad of a pro-Trump Ukrainian businessman. The attorney for Lev Parnas, an indicted former Giuliani ally, wrote in a court filing that the evidence seized likely includes email, text, and encrypted communications between Giuliani, Victoria Toensing, Trump, William Barr, high-level members of the Justice Department, presidential impeachment attorneys Jay Sekulow, Jane Raskin, and others, as well as Senator Lindsey Graham, Congressman Devin Nunes, and more. And the documents are related to the timing of the arrest and indictment of the defendants as a means to prevent potential disclosures to Congress in the first impeachment inquiry of then-President Donald J. Trump. The court filing also disclosed that federal prosecutors have historical and prospective cell site information related to Giuliani and Toensing, both of whom were the subjects of search warrants executed last month. The court filing also contained redacted portions which could be read by copying and pasting them into another document. Meanwhile, Trump responded to a lawsuit seeking to hold him accountable for the January 6th insurrection, saying that he is protected under the First Amendment and had absolute immunity while president to contest the election. Trump argued that encouraging his supporters to oppose Congress certifying the vote during the political rally on January 6th was a constitutionally protected act of the presidency. The court filing came in response to a lawsuit from Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell alleging that Trump directly incited the violence by putting out a clear call to action and then watching approvingly as the building was overrun. Back in D.C., Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell both condemned Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for her comparison of COVID-19 safety measures to the treatment of Jews during the Holocaust. McCarthy said Marjorie is wrong and her intentional decision to compare the horrors of the Holocaust with wearing masks is appalling. He added, "Let me be clear, the Republican conference condemns this language." McConnell said Greene's words were once again an outrageous and reprehensible comment. The GOP leaders, however, both stopped short of calling for any formal disciplinary measures against Greene. Greene, a QAnon conspiracy theorist, was stripped of her committee assignments earlier this year over comments she made before being elected, including calling school shootings a hoax and endorsing executing Democratic leaders and federal agents. Moving on, Moderna says its COVID-19 vaccine provided strong protection in teens aged 12 to 17 in a late-stage trial, and it plans to submit the data to U.S. regulators in early June. If authorized, the vaccine would become the second shot available for adolescents as young as 12. The FDA previously expanded authorization of Pfizer's shots to include kids aged 12 to 15. Meanwhile, half of U.S. adults are now fully vaccinated against the virus. Andy Slavitt, White House senior advisor on the COVID-19 response team, said this is a major milestone in our country's vaccination efforts. The number was 1% when we entered office in January 20. Joe Biden set a goal of getting 70% of adults to receive at least their first dose of the vaccine by the 4th of July. Nearly 5,000 adolescents have also received at least one dose of the vaccine. Moving on, the Department of Homeland Security says it will issue security directives requiring pipeline operators to report cyber incidents to federal authorities. The planned directives follow the ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline, which forced a shutdown that triggered a spike in gas prices and shortages in parts of the Southeast for 11 days. The directives will also require each company to designate a point person for cybersecurity. The Transportation Security Administration created pipeline security guidelines more than a decade ago, but compliance has been voluntary. And finally, Joe Biden will meet with Vladimir Putin next month in Geneva. The first face-to-face session between the two leaders will take place against a backdrop of rising tensions over Ukraine, as well as cyber attacks and new nuclear weapons Putin is deploying. And in the polls, Axios says 81% of Americans say they trust family and friends to be honest about their COVID-19 status. Americans, however, were less likely to trust other people about their COVID-19 status outside of their close circles, which only 38% trusted. 25% said they trusted those at sporting events or concerts. Another 25% said they trusted people at indoor restaurants and bars, and 24% said they trusted people to be honest at airports. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.